We've got a very unfortunate update for our friends over in the UK, as it's being reported today, Starmer to announce plans for digital ID scheme. We also have a video we'll take a look about this, reporting on the news. But first, quick context, because we did talk about how Starmer, a few weeks ago or so, was floating the idea around, so to speak. He was saying things like, oh yeah, you guys are unhappy with the mass migration occurring, right? All these illegal immigrants coming over. Well, how about if we just roll out mandatory digital ID for everyone? This, of course, follows Ofcom recently rolling out the Online Safety Act, which has been receiving a ton of very reasonable criticism for a lot of reasons, including government overreach. And they lie about that, saying, oh, it's to protect the kids. Similar thing going on here. Starmer wants to roll out mandatory digital ID under the guise of, oh, it's going to help us tackle the immigration crisis, when clearly there are a number of things that he could do if he actually wanted to tackle the crisis, and mandatory digital ID ain't one of them. This is just more government overreach, at least in my opinion, and of course he's trying to justify this in a very disingenuous way. And so BBC says Sir Keir Starmer is expected to announce plans for a compulsory UK-wide digital ID scheme in a speech on Friday. The Prime Minister believes it would help crack down on illegal working and modernize the state, according to senior figures in government. The practicalities of the scheme will be subject to consultation, which also look at how to make it work for those without a smartphone or passport. Oh, you don't have a smartphone or passport? Oh yeah, we're still going to come for you though. Don't think you're getting out of it that easy. The previous Labour government's attempt to introduce ID cards was ultimately blocked by the Conservative Liberal Democratic coalition. But earlier this month, Sir Keir said in an interview he thought the debate had moved on since then. We all carry a lot more digital ID now than we did 20 years ago, and I think that psychologically it plays a different part, he added. Reports have suggested the government plans to use a new scheme to check people's rights to live and work in the UK, with people's individual ID checked against a central database. These checks are currently based on physical documents, although routes to complete the checks online for some people have existed since 2022. Plans for a digital ID scheme did not feature in Labour's election manifesto last year, and the government had previously rejected a proposal for digital ID suggested by former Labour Prime Minister Sir Tony Blair. But in recent weeks, ministers have spoken with increasing enthusiasm about the idea, as they have come under increasing pressure to tackle illegal migration. Cabinet Office Minister Pat McFadden has also talked about the scheme's potential to improve access to government services. He recently visited Estonia, where digital identity can be used to access services such as medical records, voting, and banking. Cynical ploy. Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch said introducing mandatory ID would be a very serious step that requires a proper national debate. She criticized the government's announcement as a desperate gimmick to distract attention from the leadership maneuverings of Greater Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham ahead of Labour's annual conference next week. She has previously said that digital ID was not really going to solve the problem of illegals working in the UK. Reform UK has denounced the plan as a cynical ploy to fool voters that something is being done about illegal immigration. It's laughable that those already breaking immigration law will suddenly comply, or that digital IDs will have any impact on illegal work, the party added. All it will do is impinge further on the freedoms of law-abiding Brits. The Liberal Democrats, who played a central role in blocking the previous Labour government's ID cards, have said they cannot support a mandatory scheme. People shouldn't be turned into criminals just because they can't have a digital ID or choose not to, added technology spokesperson Victoria Collins. Former Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn, who is set to launch a new left-wing party in the coming weeks, said he was opposed to a compulsory scheme, branding it an affront to our civil liberties. All right, that was BBC. Now let's take a look at what Sky News has to say about this. They say breaking news, and we've got a 3-minute clip.
Breaking news now. Digital ID will be made law for all adults in an effort to tackle small boats. Downing Street believes that a mandatory ID card system will help stop illegal immigrants working. Let's bring in our political correspondent, Mari Aurora. Mari, what more do we know about this?
Yeah, well, Gareth, this is interesting because this is something that has been spoken about a lot. Tony Blair, for instance, has been talking about this for years and years as what he always believed was one of the best ways to try and reduce illegal immigration and the ability for people to work illegally here in the UK. But Sky News understands that we will have an announcement, could be as soon as tomorrow, from the Prime Minister on these mandatory ID cards, an ID card system, the Brit card.
It's pretty crazy. It's going to be interesting to see the response from the people about this. I imagine some are going to be supporting it, but I would assume the majority are not going to be supporting this. I mean, Starmer's already like insanely unpopular already, so yeah, it's going to get interesting to see the response.
And essentially what this will mean, it will be mandatory for all adults here in the UK. It will make it easier for employers and for landlords to make sure that those they are employing or renting or to actually have the right legal immigration status here in the UK. They can
And you know what Starmer's government's going to do if they don't have, hypothetically, if it's like an illegal who doesn't have the ID, they'll probably actually reward them somehow. That's probably what will happen.
do it using a smartphone app. It's also, according to the government, going to make it easier for people here in the UK to essentially prove their status or their ability to kind of qualify to be able to work here in the UK. And essentially, this is all about immigration. This is all about trying to tackle small boats crossings. We've had...
She did say essentially, not allegedly, right? I don't think she said allegedly. I would say allegedly.
And essentially,
Yeah.
This is all about immigration. This is all about trying to tackle small boats crossings. We've had a lot of conversation about small boats and about other European countries, especially the French, who have been concerned with the kind of pull factors here in the UK in terms of being able to work in the black market, being able to work illegally here in the UK.
A lot of them don't even want to work anyways. They're getting everything paid for by the government. The government's paying for their hotels. They're giving them food stipends, and they're just chilling in the freaking hotel and then going around the city doing whatever they want. And you know how that's defined in some of these cases too. I laugh out of like uncomfortableness, by the way. That's not like a haha funny laugh.
We already know that France has an ID card system. They've had it for many, many years. And it's something that the UK has always resisted, partly because of questions around civil liberties and freedoms, but also because many governments in previous times said they didn't think it was the best approach. Now, clearly, Keir Starmer has been persuaded of the benefits of a digital ID card system and has been persuaded that this might have a significant impact on small boats crossings. The question really...
It's such a joke, man. How about you guys actually stop the small boats somehow? Like, there's various ways that they could do this. And like I said earlier, like, mandatory digital ID isn't going to actually stop the boats. He's trying to say, like, oh, it might stop them from working. Like I said, a lot of them don't even want to work anyways. And then knowing his government, I'm repeating the point, they'll probably find a way to, like, reward the migrants who don't have this documentation, this mandatory digital ID, but then find ways to like very seriously punish their actual citizens who don't want to comply to this. Wouldn't be surprised if they get thrown in jail or you know, something like that. Craziness.
And this is always going to be the million-dollar question, is once this comes into play and once it is enforced, how much of an impact could it have on small boats crossings? And if it has a really significant impact on small boats crossings and it really kind of starts to eradicate that pull factor for illegal migrants coming to the UK, because I think they can essentially make money on the side illegally, as opposed to somewhere like that in France, how much of an impact does that have? And if it doesn't have a huge impact, then of course there'll be sighs of disappointment, I think, from within the Labour Party.
Yeah, I don't think Labour is going to sigh if it doesn't work. I don't think they care at all about stopping these boats, and they clearly want to use this, again, in my opinion at least, just to try and have more control over their citizens. And now I just feel even worse for our friends over in Britain. Like, holy smokes, this is bad news, guys. I got nothing else to say, though. I'm sorry about this. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. Do consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed my coverage. I do appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one.